All right, so back to air masses. So we're going to apply our understanding of air pressure now to the formation of air masses. So as we know, looking at this map right here, we're focusing on North America because we live in North America. So based off our lesson when we were in class, we know that the lines of latitude on the globe affect the climate. Down by the equator, it receives sunlight consistently throughout the year, therefore, it has a warmer climate. The poles do not receive consistent sunlight throughout the year, therefore, they're going to have a colder climate. So, air masses are impacted by the amount of heat or thermal energy that they receive. So, when you look at air masses affecting North America, the air masses by the poles are going to be cold, and the air masses coming from the equator are going to be warm. And because of density differences, our cold air masses are going to sink down towards the equator. Our warm air masses are going to rise from the equator towards the poles. And when these air masses converge, imagine like World War One, Civil War, Revolutionary War, when the two armies came together, a battle occurred. So in just a little bit, we're going to talk about weather fronts, and those weather fronts occur when air masses of different temperatures converge or collide. So real quick, I'm going to do some artwork down here. So with air masses, you have different types of air masses. Let's start with the polar air masses. So the first thing is going to be a lowercase m, which stands for maritime. Maritime meaning it originates over water. And then the P stands for polar. So most of the air masses up here in the northern part of North America are going to be polar air masses. So we have maritime polar over here in the North Pacific, and also a maritime polar in the North Atlantic. Then we have another air mass. It's going to be a continental. We know from our geology unit that continental means land, like continental crust. Continental air masses are going to form over land, and the continental air mass that forms near the poles is the continental Arctic air mass. So lowercase letters represent where the air mass is originating, whether it's over water, 1, or 2, over land, which would be continental. And then all of the polar and Arctic air masses are going to be cold. So we can go ahead and type down here in a box. We'll call this maritime polar. And maritime polar is going to equal cold/moist. So air masses that originate over water contain lots of moisture, so they're going to be humid air masses. So we can classify those as being cold and moist, not moist. So cold and moist. And we can copy and paste this one. Also put it over. Not what I wanted to do. Let's see. There we go. All right, and then finally we have another text box. So anytime you see a continental, it's going to be dry because it originates over land, and air masses that originate over land, there's not as much water, so there's not as much moisture. So continental Arctic is going to equal cold/dry. All right, so there you go for our maritime polar, continental Arctic, and maritime polar. Next video, we'll talk about the warmer air masses down by the equator.